Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Reality Wind Down. I'm Chase.
I'm Cassidy.
And we are here to break down Bravo TV.
Yes, we are.
Pop culture.
Yes.
And just really anything we want to talk about this week.
Amen.
But you know what? The biggest news of the week is Salt Lake City. I mean, there's no way to go.
Right.
You had to kind of just mention it right off the bat because that is what we've been waiting for.
I said amen. I feel like that was a little slide in on the Housewives of Salt Lake City. Not intentional. Not intentional.
And we've been waiting 4 years for this.
4 years.
4 years since the last Housewives premiered. So
we got Dallas last, right?
Yeah, it was Dallas.
Okay.
Which I love, but we needed something new.
This is coming much stronger than season 1 of Dallas came. Episode 1, this is already coming in way hotter than Dallas.
Actually, not hotter because it's in the snow.
I knew you were going to say that. You're so predictable. I was about to be like, no, way colder. Oh, wait, no. Never mind.
No, because we actually, I turned down the AC in the house so we could put on some sweaters and just maybe act like we were in.
It is very hot outside, but we're pretending. I'm sitting here in my faux fur.
But I do know that I probably have sweat running down my back because we
dripping?
Are in Texas.
Is it dripping down the back into the crack? Or are you sweating right now all the way through?
I won't go there. That secret is safe with me.
TMI for episode 1. So we've been friends for 10 years. We have been watching Bravo for over 10 years. And we decided to stop annoying our boyfriends with talking about Bravo in their ear 24/7 and other reality shows, but predominantly Bravo. Mm-hmm. And channel all that energy into a podcast.
Yeah, and bring it to you.
Bring it to you because you're going to love it because we have hot takes.
Exactly. And we just are fun.
We're a good time.
Yeah. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. So it might be fun. I had this idea to play this game where we pick 2 housewives at the others. If you merge 2 housewives together, who would you be?
Okay.
So you guess what I am and what I think I am afterwards, I'll say.
Okay. So who I think you are is gonna be... It's a little bit random. I think you might have an idea, but I'm gonna go with Dorit for her fashions.
Yes.
The English husband.
Yes.
British husband. And honestly, like Sonia. Like I always go between Luann and Sonia because they're just the party, the life of the party.
Aww.
I would say Sonia more just because she always is a good time.
I thought you were going to say Sonia Morgan. I was like, I know who Sonia is.
No, Sonia Tremont Morgan.
Sonia Tremont Morgan.
So those, I would have to say those are your 2. So Dorit and Sonia.
I'm not even going to argue that at all. I would happily take on being both of them. Well, and I'm very into this.
I win.
I also... Well, no, you haven't won because I feel like I'm also going to guess the 2 that you would give yourself.
Okay.
You are Portia Dorinda Smith. Because your last name's Smith.
Bow down to that.
You are Portia Dorinda. Like, you are just... You're so much fun. Everyone loves Portia. Portia's amazing. And Dorinda, I feel like we all love Dorinda too, but she's had her moments.
Yeah, she has.
So,
you know what? We've all been there.
We've all had our moments.
We've all been there.
But we still love her. And we love you.
Okay, well, don't make me cry on the first episode.
That's what I'm
I get emotional.
We have to go through all the emotions. The waterworks are...
I know.
The waterworks are here.
I already have a lot of emotions going on because we have a new housewife.
I know.
Housewives. So...
All right, are you ready to dive in to the salty lake? The Salt Lake City. Because I'm like itching to do this.
She is a salty lake.
She's a salty lake. And I feel like there's some salty ladies on tonight's episode already.
Okay, bringing it full circle. Okay, I see what you're doing here.
That's where I am.
Yeah, I was amazed at the get-go. The taglines were hit and miss for me, I have to say.
Okay, who was your favorite tagline?
Oh, shit. Who was it? I think it was Lisa.
The cheap shots. Well, it was...
Yes. Oh, what was it?
I think I wrote it down. If I can figure out how to open my... This is not a Bible, by the way. It looks like in honor of Salt Lake City, we showed up with our Bible, but it is our notebook.
Honestly, if I were to have a Bible, it would be velvet.
It would look like that. It was, if you take cheap shots, expect a hangover.
Okay, great. And she owns a tequila company, a liquor company, so right on brand. I would say she goes number 1. Oh my god, there's a bug.
It was giving me like presidential vibes. The fly was gonna land on your head like Mike Pence, and I was like, you were gonna become a meme. It's gonna be like Lizzo twerking on your head.
At least it didn't go in my wine, so I'm happy.
That's also true. I mean, that was actually amazing. Maybe, like, he also just really liked Lisa's tagline.
He was cheering us on. He was like, you know what, go girl, I agree.
Go girl, do your thing.
Yeah. So I would have to say Lisa was my favorite.
And it was also just, like, a good line. When you take cheap shots, expect a hangover. Like, that's, like, accurate and funny.
I feel like that's something you gotta live by.
Yeah, I think it's a great one.
True. They always try to tell you that, like, whenever you first start drinking, they're like, you know, don't...
The cheap liquor is what makes you feel terrible.
Exactly.
That's why you can't drink it past 25.
And it's accurate, so I relate to that one.
I also feel like Jen Shaw's really, like, came full circle with her life, being like, I'm the MVP.
Yes.
Because her husband is a football coach, which we learned tonight.
And Heather's also came full circle because she was talking about
her
being a pioneer ancestors. And we know a bunch of them are Mormon.
Yes.
And her ancestors
were pioneers.
Yeah, and they like literally came and settled Utah at the very beginning. So she can, use pioneer in her tagline.
I think it was a good one too. Yeah, I think Meredith definitely had the worst one of the season.
I didn't really like Mary's either.
I mean, Mary's was better than Meredith's, so it's literally jealousy is a disease, to which we say, get well soon. It's like, she could have at least said, like, get well soon, bitch. Like, it would have been a little more housewife. It doesn't feel like a housewifey tagline,
and that's you do later see, like, whenever we get to know Meredith a little bit, which we'll get to, you can see where she thinks people are jealous of her, because she thinks she's better than a lot of people. So I get where she thinks that tagline is good for her.
But I feel like you kept saying throughout the episode, and I think it was really accurate, that she's the most housewifey vibe of all of them.
Yeah, it's like in her confessional, she's very like prim, proper, stunning, and has like kind of those like suit outfits that is just very like housewives, very like kind of what we're looking for, rich looking. I agree. Very just kind of cool, but
a housewife vibe.
Yeah, it's just a vibe that I got immediately.
No, I agree.
And but we'll get to her later. Yeah. So because we actually come to Jen is the first housewife we get to know at the start of the episode. So we start the episode at Jen's house.
Hold on, you said Jen's house. It's her chalet. And I really feel like it's a missed opportunity that they call it the Shaw Chalet. It should just be the chalet. Like, am I crazy? I feel like that's...
You should be one of her 5 assistants.
No, wait, does she have 4 or 5?
3, but I feel like we're going to learn of more.
We're going to meet more for sure. Maybe I could be like her 9th.
Yeah, and you could be just the girl that creates taglines for her.
I feel like unless she already has a homeless girl in Ireland doing that for her, like Sonia Morgan,
liking her tweets. Oh my god, she is Sonia Morgan.
She really is. She has all these interns, but she I get the vibe that she pays them.
We don't know yet.
I get the vibe she does.
Okay, it's not a college program.
It's not a college program.
I could get credit for this.
It's not the Sonia Morgan School of Hard Knocks. These seem like grown adults that are her assistants.
Anyway, so Jen, we like open up with her sitting with her family, kitchen, and her beautiful chalet.
Chalet.
And she kind of gives us the background. Like, her husband is a football coach.
Right.
I don't know, you like sports. Where does he coach?
I mean, I like sports. I don't particularly follow the University of Utah's football program. Shout out if there's any Utah football fans. But yeah, I'm not familiar with the program, but I mean, you see their beautiful house. You hear that she's a businesswoman herself. They have to be doing extremely well because that is a lot of designer clothes a la Dorit.
Oh, there you go.
And a very beautiful house, a lot of pretty cars, a lot of nice things. So they are clearly doing well.
I mean, girl's got herself a Porsche, got herself a mansion.
I think everyone in Salt Lake City might have a Porsche. Like,
that's true. Because
I think everyone.
I think Lisa, we see later, also has the same Porsche. She was giving us a little bit of background, and she was raised Mormon, but she married a Muslim man.
Yes.
And she realized within the Mormon church that they actually didn't accept black people into the church until like the 80s.
I think it was the 70s, but either way, it's unreal.
It's insane. So she kind of had like an awakening and was like, why am I going to be in this religion if my husband and my children aren't allowed or weren't allowed at a certain point?
100%.
So she actually converted to
she's in the process, I think, of converting to Islam.
So that's like really cool. That's like an interesting...
It's interesting. I feel like in Salt Lake City, I mean, we're not extremely familiar. Yeah. But her saying she's converting to... I don't imagine...
It's stepping out of it seems like the norm.
Right, exactly.
And she's doing her own thing and her family's doing their own thing. And they seem to be doing
Once again, religion being a huge theme.
Yeah, that's the theme.
Already. It kicks it off. We knew it was going to be. It jumps straight in. So next we meet Heather. We are at her, it's called Beauty Lab, her business.
Yeah, Beauty Lab. 15-minute Botox parking, girl.
We were dying at that. That's so funny. 15-minute Botox parking. We kind of learn, you know, she has this theme that she keeps saying that perfection is attainable. Perfection, perfection, perfection.
Well, that's what the Mormon religion says, is that you can attain perfection.
Right. So. And then we find out that she's actually divorced. Mm-hmm. She has 3 daughters. And that's obviously not quote unquote perfection too. Yeah,
and also, well, she kind of mentioned that she kind of did achieve her idea of perfection because she married a very prominent Mormon man.
I think she said like his family's worth $1 billion.
Yeah, $1 billion. So I think she did the quote unquote
proper Mormon thing.
Yeah, and then it just didn't work out. But now she's owning a business.
Yes.
She was saying her business is worth $20 million.
Which is
crazy.
Amazing.
Which is awesome. And she owns it by herself. And
right.
You know what? Great. So we did Jen. We did Heather.
The fly's back.
This fly is going to kill me. Oh my God. We get to Meredith.
Right.
We meet her husband, Seth.
Yes.
And her son.
Yes. And they're going on a hike.
Brooks. They're going on a hike. And honestly, Brooks was just giving us nothing.
Brooks, like, really reminded me of you in a moment when they were driving in the car and he looked outside and he just so seriously said, "Look at all the cows." Like, that was such a you moment
You
for
know
me.
What it reminded me of? Have you ever seen Twister? I know you haven't.
No. I know there is a cow that gets picked up, though.
Cassidy's never seen a single movie.
I don't.
In Twister, she's like...
A cow flies around.
Cows!
Right? Oh, she says cows.
She really just says... As a cow's flying by her windshield, and I really related to it.
Go, girl, give us cows.
Yeah, and honestly, I related to him as well, I have to say. He just gave the same energy that I give.
Just the same energy that you give. And she talks about she's a jewelry designer and she owns a store. And she says she dresses Rihanna and Charlize Theron. Theron, one of the two. And Scarlett Johansson, which I'm like...
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. I was surprised because I don't know. I just didn't know what she was going to bring.
You just didn't know that they went to Salt Lake City to get their fashions?
Yeah. I didn't know that. Is Salt Lake City a hub?
Do you feel like it's one of those things, and this is not to be like a shady moment, but like obviously she's super rich and super successful, but do you think at like maybe the film festival that happens there, like Sundance, maybe they had come to Sundance and like came into the store and shopped?
Okay.
And then she says, "I really styled them."
That's a good point.
I mean, I could be wrong, but that's just But
I mean, Park City, I feel like it's pretty popular. I mean, Sundance is popular, so
once a year.
I could see once a year, but hey,
I don't think
beautiful.
Rihanna chills there 24/7. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, I love Rihanna, so I'm down. But I actually do want to go back to her son Brooks. I just have to. I have to. Because there's one point they make a point to like name her 2 other children that are off doing things. Then he is taking a year off of school just because. And I'm like, girl, he wanted to be on this reality show.
Would we not do the same?
I know. I related to him again. After the cows, I was like, I also would take off a year.
I would literally be like, "Mom, I'm coming home from college." She'd be like, "Don't." I'd be like, "No, I'm coming home. I'm going to be on the show."
You're like, I'm going to be a star. And you know what? He was in it quite a bit.
He was. I mean, he was in it a lot.
And you know what? Go girl, give us everything.
Go give us nothing.
And then after Meredith, we get to Lisa. It was funny. The first thing you had to say about her was like, why is she waking up her children by turning on the lights so abruptly?
I just think that's the rudest thing you can possibly do. Like, I know I'm not a morning person, but walking in and flashing the lights and be like, "Get up!" Like, is that not?
I mean, turn on a little lamp.
That's exactly.
Why
do
not?
A little nightlight moment, like a morning light. Go and like pop it on and wake up, sweetie. She was just like, "Bam! I'm here. I'm from New York. Wake up."
I'm just not a morning person, so I just can't imagine someone just throwing those lights on and me being like, "Yes, let me start my day."
No, it would not work for me.
And also, did you notice she had like no furniture? They didn't really get into that. I'm assuming they just moved into that house.
I did notice that. Are they, did they just move in? Are they, renting? Are they filming there a la Karen Huger?
Oh.
Love you, Grand Dame. But remember that moment? That was a wild moment. And it was kind of, the house was similar to that.
I mean, Karen's had like 5 houses, but...
I mean, it's also true.
But I did notice that. It was like...
It was weird.
She was throwing on those lights to no furniture.
Yeah. I mean, just the kid in the bed and like these weird signs above that said like grit and like the definition of grit.
They were like, the camera crew's coming, so let's throw up a sign.
Yeah, that was kind of strange. I wonder if they had just moved in. That would be interesting to look at.
And another thing you noticed was her... husband was taking out the dog in flip-flops
Oh.
as they just panned from the outside of their house, and it was all snow. I was like, who can do that?
It was so cute, though. He was putting a little sweater on the dog, or she put the sweater on the dog.
That's cute.
And then they got in the car as a family, and the Porsche, another Porsche, and they drove to our spot, our hangout, our life, Taco Bell. I think they also went through like a Sonic, and I think I saw like a pizza box.
There
in the
was
back
a
at one
third
point.
box.
There was a pizza box, right?
If that's not a regular Tuesday night, I don't know.
I'm like, as Taco Bell and Sonic frequenters, we didn't notice the box in the back.
I mean, we may or may not have celebrated this very episode with Taco Bell.
We did.
And screamed when that same
We
Taco
did.
Bell showed up on
I just
screen.
feel like that's like the most relatable thing. Her first like scene as a housewife, and I don't feel like she was trying to be relatable. She rolled up and she was like gordita crunch, quesadilla, and like she knew her order. Like I feel like that was actually a real life moment. It wasn't like a pretending.
She's our fast food queen.
That's like whenever like I feel like Erica's done that a few times. Like pretended like, oh, I eat this, I do this, I do that, just trying to be relatable. It was like it felt like a real moment.
Felt very a la Fergie. And she's like, drive through Taco Bell, raw as hell.
I was like,
Just a throwback.
I was like, who are you talking about, Fergie?
You know?
In that?
The Duchess?
I mean, no,
Fergie Ferg? Ever heard of her?
The Duchess, formerly of the Black Eyed Peas. I know who Fergie is. I didn't get that reference, but I got you now, and that's funny. I do feel like Erica, like, she sometimes will be like, what did she do this last season? She was like, can I get a Cuban coffee? And he was like, oh, almond milk, soy milk, because obviously they're in Beverly Hills, and that's very, like, of course,
Yeah.
What of the 27 chestnut milks do they want? And she was like, oh, no, full fat and sugar, or like how the Cubans do, like just trying to be
Yeah.
like relatable. It was like, okay.
The one that I always remember, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, was like when she's like, I'm gonna do a beer, and she's like, in the bottle.
Oh
I
my
was like,
God.
okay, that's a lot of people drink beer in a bottle.
That's just like such a bad one. I guess I put it out of my mind because I don't even remember
It
that.
was
at
just
all.
so absurd, because then Lisa Rinna was like, oh my god, you're getting a beer in a bottle? And I'm like, yeah,
I feel like the
very
most
common.
I feel like Erica, when she's not trying to be relatable, is when she's the most relatable. Like when she was like sitting at the table in France with a migraine and thought she was gonna die. I was like, no, that's relatable. Pretending like you eat and drink like normal, like we do, that's not relatable for me.
No. But to kind of like, another thing with Erica tying back to Lisa was whenever Lisa was dressing up her dog.
Yes.
And last season, do you remember like one of the best parts
Oh my
about Erica
God.
was when she put the wig on her dog?
That's honestly
So it kind
the
of like came back to me about that connection as well.
best thing Erica's ever done when she put the wig
Yeah.
on her dog.
So that like made
Roxy
me laugh.
Hart.
So then Lisa does that with her dog
Yes.
to go out for a walk while her husband's wearing flip-flops. I don't know why you dress the dog in warm clothes, but yet you wear your toes out.
Who are we to talk? It's 85 degrees outside and we're sitting here in our
I know,
sweaters.
I'm in a sweater.
We're having our moment.
You know, I wanted to feel like we were in the snow with them. Okay.
It's fair.
And then we take a little break from getting to know the housewives and go back to Jen.
Yes.
And we see her getting armpit Botox.
Yes.
Back at Heather's place.
Yes.
So she's sitting in the chair talking about how much she sweats. Relatable. I don't know if you have to, but I do carry napkins with me in the summer and dab myself. That is just a thing.
And your armpits?
Not my armpits, just all over my body.
So now you're, oh my God, no,
Truly.
I don't do that.
Well, I guess I've been doing really well at hiding it.
I mean, I didn't know that you did that. I feel like maybe I should do that.
And when Jen was getting her armpit Botox, that's when they
Casual
decided...
housewife lingo.
Yeah,
when
and-
she was getting her armpit Botox and planning a party.
And that's a natural time to start planning a party.
Absolutely.
So that was when Jen was telling her about the Studio 54 themed party she wants to throw for Meredith
Yes.
at her house.
Yes.
So that's going to be amazing, glamorous, as she was saying.
Right.
And you can already see where Jen's going to go with this party. And it's going to be about her, not Meredith.
100%.
How she was talking about it. It's going to have this amazing thing. And it's going to be so over the top.
Yes.
And she's like, I throw the best parties. And I'm like, girl, you're throwing this party for you.
100%.
It's not for Meredith.
100%.
After we get like a little bit of information from Jen about the party she's going to throw, we go over to Whitney's wedding day.
Her wedding.
Yeah. We were like, oh, that's a bold choice.
She was walking up with like her 2 kids, and I was like, oh, that's sweet. Like they've found each other on their like second marriages or like whatever. Maybe they already had kids and they were just planning on finally getting married.
It
and
was
then
their second marriage.
It hits us with the Red X vow renewal.
And we know what that means. The kiss of death to a marriage on Bravo.
I mean, if you're in the housewife universe and you choose to do a vow renewal, you are insane.
You're just asking to get divorced.
I feel like that's honest. Like an easier way than having the conversation with your husband that you want to have a divorce. Like if you're on a Bravo show, just be like, hey, do you want to do a vow renewal?
And that's just a sign.
And it's the sign that it's not gonna work out. But I feel like it's one of those things that she wanted to have her dream wedding, shouldn't have it the first time. Mm-hmm. And it seems kind of weird that they didn't have their dream wedding the first time.
Yep, it does seem weird.
Right, we find out that they were both married when they met each other.
At work.
Met each other at work. They were already married to other people. And, I mean, they fell into a passionate romance.
Yeah.
And the families weren't too supportive of it.
And neither was the Mormon church. They got kicked out.
They were excommunicated.
Yeah.
Oh, and we also find out that she's Heather's cousin.
Yes.
So her and Heather are related.
So her and Heather are related, which I love. And like,
which usually means when people are cousins that they're related. I love that I clarified that they're cousins, which means they're related. In case you didn't know what a cousin was.
Thanks for the definition, Cassidy. But on that note, I always say I love when we start like a new Housewives franchise. And a lot of times they have like deep history with each other.
Yes.
Like, for example, they're cousins.
Yes.
They've mentioned in the episode at some point that Lisa and Heather went to college together.
Right.
And it's just stuff like that I really like because there's a lot that can grow from that. They can bring up that past, which they start to do, which we'll get to.
I feel like that's what we head into next, though.
Oh, is that what we go into next?
We go into, they're at Meredith's house. And Lisa gets there, and they're just hanging out. They're saying, oh, we're such good friends. We were set up on a friend blind date, and we automatically fell in love with each other. Like, they're great friends. And Jen's coming over to...
Oh, yes. That's when Jen shows up.
Jen rolls up, and she comes in to discuss, I think, the party with them even more. And she brings up briefly, oh, Lisa, you know Heather. And Heather hit her with the immediate, I don't know her. She, like, put on her Mariah shades and looked away and said, I don't know her. She knows her.
She knows her.
She knows her.
Like, she at least knew of her.
Exactly.
Like, maybe they weren't friends, but you can know someone and know of them.
Right.
And not be a good friend of theirs.
100%.
So, you know what angle she's pulling. She just wants her to be above Heather. She doesn't want to be like, oh, I know Heather, because that would, I guess, put them on the similar levels. Like, I think she's trying to put herself up.
Well, she's just trying to be like, she's famous and she's this, and she's like, I don't know if she's famous, but she's trying to be like, I don't remember you. I don't know her.
Well, she also already she's made it clear she's from New York. Like, she wants to already have this idea that, like, I'm not from here. I'm from a better city, quote unquote. And I just moved back, and like,
which I hate.
Y'all are beneath me, kind of thing. Well, I just got that vibe. I don't know.
I can't stand when people do that, though, because that's where you live now. That's where you have your life and your family. I hate whenever they try to use that narrative. Like, I'm from somewhere. I'm not from here, making it so clear. It just seems kind of...
So Jen was kind of just like, okay, well, she told me...
Well, I feel like Jen, like, I already am loving Jen.
Oh, yeah.
She immediately kind of gave her that look, like...
I see what you're doing.
Really? Yeah, I see what you're doing. Like, she read it real quick, that she knew what she was trying to play.
Yeah. Well, because then quickly after, Lisa was like, well, I did hear that she was the girl that used to, like, pull up her top or something like that. I was like, okay, again, you're saying that you knew of her.
Yeah,
like, you're already going against what you said.
Exactly.
But without also putting in a dig that she was a bad girl. Right. And they did go to BYU, which is a pretty strict school. I think you even mentioned that you have to... Or they mentioned they have to sign...
You signed a thing where you can't have sex, you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do any of that. Yeah, so
it's already, like, kind of putting out there that Heather didn't go by those rules, which just makes her look bad. So
which is true.
She's trying. Lisa's trying, and you can just see she is not into Heather at the moment. Right. You already see where that's going to go.
Right. So we get to a restaurant. Whitney's already inside, and we see Mary. The infamous already Mary Cosby walking up in her yellow leggings, a full fashion choice. I don't think you hated it. You thought it was...
No, I actually didn't hate it at all. She had a great jacket.
Right.
And this is our first time meeting her, so it's our first impressions of her. And I personally liked my first impression. I don't know if that impression really stood
you liked
the rest
your
of the
first impression until she sat down, and one of the first things she talks about is, well, she kind of goes into her backstory a little bit, like, I'm Pentecostal, and Whitney says, well, everyone knows the story of Mary marrying her grandpa, which, like,
grandpa.
I knew we already knew that storyline, but it's still, like, just saying it out loud is just mind-blowing.
Well, the little extra nugget we get is whenever Mary is telling her story, she's like, well, we've been married for 21 years.
Yes.
He was married to my grandma before, and before my grandma passed away, she put it in her will for him to marry one of her granddaughters. And I guess Mary was just the lucky one that got to marry her step-grandfather.
The luck.
Yeah, right? And that was just that extra. Because it's like, again, you said we already kind of knew this going in. But even adding that little bit of, it was in the will.
I feel like she thought she was justifying it, like making it better. No, this is what my grandma wanted. It's like, no, that makes it worse.
Yeah. Well, she also
like, that's strange.
Yeah. She also justified it by saying, it's been 21 years. Yeah. Like, it's worked.
Well, I don't care if it's 3,000 years. It's still strange.
Yeah. And she kind of goes into, she is the preacher at the church.
Yes.
She's
Pentecostal, which is
Pentecostal.
different.
Yeah. So she made it clear. She's like, I'm not Mormon. I am Pentecostal. She leads her church, which is the legacy that her grandmother left.
Right.
And it looked good. She's doing her thing.
Yeah.
So
Go, girl, do your thing. Lead that Pentecostal church.
Marry your step-grandfather.
Marry your exactly. Do what you gotta do.
So then, like, after we kind of get a little backstory of Mary,
sorry, the fly ended up in my wine. The infamous fly has ended up in my wine. She's dead.
Oh my god. He hated our podcast so much he killed himself.
Oh my god.
So, after we get a little bit of Mary's background, Jen texts Whitney about Meredith's party.
Right.
So, Whitney's like, hey, hold on, let me check this. Yeah. And Whitney's reading through it, and she tells Mary, like, oh, she's having a party, but I wasn't supposed to tell anyone.
Right.
So, it's like a little bit awkward there for a second. But Jen actually texted Mary as well.
Right.
And invited her. So, it gives us an intro into why Jen and Mary aren't really friends right now.
And why are they not friends? This is honestly, like, also one of the craziest things that I've ever heard on a housewife storyline.
Mary told people that Jen smelled like a hospital.
A hospital?
She smelled like a hospital.
I mean, and she did smell like a hospital, but not the point.
Not the point, but I was also shocked that Jim, oh my god, that Jen came into the confessional and was like, I did smell like a hospital. Yes. Because I was there for my aunt, which actually was like a real story. Like, she was there for her aunt who had both of her legs amputated. So it's kind of, it's really like, sad.
It's just, I mean, Mary sounds so cold and awful. She, like, can't stand hospitals because she says something along the lines of she got her
odor glands removed, like 12 surgeries, almost died, and now no longer can smell the scent of the hospital.
Which, by the way, I didn't know you could get your odor glands removed.
Me either. I feel like there has to be something more to that. Then at the end of this, we find out that Mary is going to go to the party.
Right.
So it's kind of like expected, at least I would think, that her and Jen are going to talk.
Right.
And discuss
who
smells like hospital.
So they have to.
Yeah. Speaking of the party, that's where we go next.
Yes.
Is Jen's house where they're setting up, which, as we expected, the party is outrageous. I mean, the setup alone is like a tunnel of tents.
Yes.
They cleared out all of her furniture.
All of it.
Already had to have been thousands of dollars just to clear out the furniture.
Right.
And then she's going to have like the full bar. She has catering.
She has like a flower wall that says Chalet or something like it.
Shaw Chalet.
Shaw Chalet.
Which is hilarious because isn't this a party for Meredith?
It is a party for Meredith.
So you're like, okay.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Get this party in check because it's not about you, but at the same time, why not?
I mean, why not? But some random chaotic woman named Sarah stumbles in, and while Jen's getting ready, she stumbles in her cute little pink dress, and she's like, "Hi, I'm here for the party. Happy birthday, Jen!" And it was like, it's not Jen's birthday, so that goes to show. I don't know what invitation Jen sent out, but
clearly people thought it was her party.
Maybe it just wasn't clear to Sarah.
I guess not.
She came in with some wild energy, so maybe not. But I saw a tweet from someone that apparently she was going to be a housewife, the Sarah girl. And she, like, got cut before the...
I honestly think this scene alone, just, cements her being a great...
Bring her back.
She's going to be the person everyone's calling for justice.
Absolutely. Hashtag justice. It's like Martini Mike. Shout out to Martini Mike.
I mean, you're on it for a second and you're just...
A superstar.
And then, okay, so actually we have to go back for, like, a second. Because during the chaoticness of Jin setting up her party...
Right.
I think we're introduced to, like, more of her assistants.
Oh.
So at this point, she has 3 assistants.
Okay.
Helping her plan this party.
I mean.
And we still don't know exactly what Jin does.
we don't know.
No. They haven't talked about it on camera, so we're just going to wait. But we did maybe do a little bit of Googling.
She did some research.
And she owns an eyelash line, a couture clothing line.
Yes.
And she was about to open something else. So she is... business owner of 3 separate businesses.
I mean, yeah, she's making those coins.
So I guess she needs an assistant for each business.
Oh, no, but we also Googled that her brother-in-law is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Which is wild.
So that's interesting that they didn't even touch on that. Because I feel like so many housewives would blow in and be like, my brother-in-law is NBA superstar, blah, blah, blah. That wasn't even touched on, which I think is actually, like, really cool that she's not, like, playing off of that.
Mm-hmm. And then after we see, like, the rest of the party set up, we go back to Meredith to see her getting ready for what she thinks is her party.
Right.
And they pan and it's just roses everywhere.
I think there's a coffin of roses.
A legit coffin, and Brooks is just sitting there. Zero energy.
Absolutely
just hanging
no
out.
Energy.
He's
the level of F's I aspire to give.
Yeah.
He does not care.
No, doesn't care. And his dad calls him and he's like, hey, are you helping put the roses together? Blah, blah, blah. And come to find out, Meredith's husband, Seth, is not even coming back for her birthday.
And do you not get the vibe that he's a bit much already? He's like coming in doing the most immediately. He's like, ha, you're a few months older than me. And he just was going on and on. He was like giving very loud, and you could tell she was kind of annoyed.
I feel like he was giving a lot because he wasn't there. And he knew that is a huge problem because we do find out that he's still living in Chicago.
Right.
So, obviously they're doing a little bit of a long distance thing, but she even makes a subtle hint that she's like, hey, we always have been together for our birthdays. Right, so she
seems annoyed. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, very annoyed.
She seems
annoyed. That's just kind of like cluing to us that there's definitely more to come from...
Might be some trouble in the paradise of Salt Lake City.
Yeah, exactly. In that coffin of roses.
Coffin of roses.
It's not a good omen that there's a coffin of roses.
Could that coffin of roses be the coffin at the end of their marriage?
Oh, shutting that lid right on that marriage.
Climb in.
Honestly, maybe.
So we're headed into our first... Everyone's going to get together.
Yes.
Every housewife is not meeting because they already all kind of know each other. But everyone's together. We're having the big party at the Chalet, which I'm only calling it that. From here on out, hashtag it Chalet.
I can't even say it the other way because now I'm just getting confused. So we're going with Chalet.
We're going Chalet.
Perfect.
Classic.
But it's our first time seeing all the housewives together at this party, this amazing party that Jen is throwing. And I do have to say, birthday girl won best dressed for me.
Oh, I loved her look.
She was coming in little Big Bird-esque, but in the best way possible. In the best way possible. In the best way possible. Yes. I mean, she had like the feathers all on her arms. It was like skin tight pink. It was just stunning.
There's a lot of pink going on. A few of the housewives had on pink, which was fun.
Jen also had like a pink sparkly thing going on.
Yeah, someone else did too.
And it was really pretty. I mean, they definitely came in hot on the first, dress up moment of the season.
Like talking about their outfits, just the last one we have to discuss is Mary's. Because Mary came in very much a Sutton vibe from Beverly Hills. Like, she's gonna drop that it's designer, but designer does not make it good.
Words that Sutton would throw out there to try to, like, make you think her outfit was better than
I'd rather you wear something cute from Zara than rock up in a hideous piece that's...
I mean, don't come out.
Valentino couture.
Zara. I mean,
this is also Zara.
Oh, is it really?
No, it's Valentino.
I like when you wear designer things. It's awesome. Fashion is great in these series, but I don't need to hear it all the time what you're wearing. This is just not the most important thing, especially when it's kind of like a fluffy, like lime greenish type.
I don't know why
color.
you're trying to describe it. It was ugly.
Yeah, I was trying to do her justice,
Let's
but I
call
couldn't.
it what it is.
I was
it
trying.
Was
okay?
not cute.
And then it's just funny because after we see everyone there,
Right.
we get kind of a montage or a couple scenes showing that Jin planned this party for her.
Oh, I mean the dancers.
I mean, the cake popped out and it was another dancer. There was the wall,
Which
I think
he
you mentioned.
can come to my next birthday, by the way.
Girl.
He was a babe. He can
mean,
pop out of my
honestly,
cake anytime.
Out of your cake.
Oh my god. I'm done with you. Alright, bye. I'm leaving. I have to go.
I mean, it was a great party.
It was a great party. Not a party for Meredith, though. A party for Jen.
Party for Meredith.
Not a
Best
party.
dressed Meredith, but it was not a party for her.
Not a party for her.
Oh, this is actually whenever Mary confronts Jen at the party, of course. You know, of course, as we do in the Housewives, we're all together and someone has to call one housewife to the side. So that is Jen and Mary. And Jen is telling her that I heard from a friend.
Yes.
That you told me I smell like a hospital. And Mary did not want
Every time you say it, I just have to look away because it's so ridiculous.
It is so ridiculous, and it's like, what? I just never thought that would be
I never
a fight
thought
that we
would
be having.
Honestly, I'd pick it over the Lucy Lucy Apple Juicy from Beverly Hills that went on for 2 seasons. So
Anything's better than that. So I'll take hospital smell
hashtag
any day.
Hospital Gate. We're rolling with it all season.
Let's go. Because we're probably going to hear about it for a little bit longer.
Well, that's what's going to be interesting. Is Salt Lake City going to give us New York vibes where you touch on Hospital Gate one episode and then we're moving on to the next drama? Or is it going to be what's harped on all season?
I'm going to go New York route.
Same. I agree.
I think maybe a touch longer than New York,
but
not bad. I don't think they'll wear it out.
No,
let's say that.
I agree.
Because I feel like even in this scene, we're getting a bunch of drama from this. Because Mary is completely denying she said it. Like, she's not even acting like this came out of her mouth whatsoever. And then Jen decides to bring in Carrie, a side player. That
she came in hot, too.
So Carrie's the one that actually told Jen.
Right.
So Carrie comes in, and she's like... Yeah, I said it.
No, she came in and she said, you said it.
Yeah.
You said it and I repeated it. Mm-hmm. She flew in with like...
She wasn't...
Shannon Storm's Bador energy and went right at it.
Wasn't denying it for 1 second.
Right.
And Mary was like... Still acting like she never said it.
Right.
And Carrie was going in hard. So Mary was like, get out of here. Pretty much being like, you're not a housewife. Get off my... show, essentially, kind of vibe.
Which, it's too early for that energy.
Yeah, you can't throw that around yet.
It's too early to pretend like someone can't be on your show.
So, it's just funny because it blows up with Mary not wanting to confess to any part of it when she was the one that brought Jen over to apologize to her.
Yeah, like she wanted to have a civil conversation and hopefully move forward.
And instead just sat there denying it. And then at the end is being like, don't care about your aunt. Don't care about you. Don't care about your hospital smell.
She lost both legs. No, she got so nasty with it. She said, maybe you should eat better. Drink more water.
Oh
that was so bizarre to me.
And it's like, why are you even going there?
No, she got
just say sorry.
I feel like we saw Mary's colors, her true colors come out.
And it's while we're seeing it that early.
In episode 1, whenever usually you're worried, like you're trying to put on a good reputation, you're trying to, you want to look good for the camera. She was like, drink more water. Eat better. That's why you lost your legs. That was horrible.
And
like, you can't forgive that. How does, even if you move on throughout the season, watching back on a confessional like that, I don't know how if you're Jen, you get past that.
I don't think you can. And in that moment, Jen was not having any of it. So she storms out and slams her bedroom door and is kind of just like, you don't talk about my family like that. She's pissed, yelling, understandably.
Of course.
And that's where they give us the Bravo to be continued.
And an amazing look at what's to come.
Amazing look at what's to come.
And I think we're going to get a lot of goodness.
We are in for a show, and that's what's so good about these girls so far. It's like they're not holding back from the get-go.
Not holding back at all.
This premiere had so much in it.
Yes.
Like, we watched OC right before.
Right.
And we were just counting down. We watched that little clock in the corner of the TV that counts down to a premiere the entire time, just waiting for something good to happen. And it was amazing.
It's just giving us nothing right now, Orange County.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it a little bit because I just want to touch on it.
I think it's fair to touch on it.
Yeah, I just think we should touch on it.
I feel like the only thing I want to touch on about it is Gina's hats. Gina came through with that little boy hat standing up immediately. It was a choice. And I don't know why she keeps making these decisions.
Gina's tiny house
she
and her big hats.
She probably had just visited her hairstylist. So she had to leave and put on her hat. Is that too much? I mean, you're laughing because you know it's true. I mean, she'd probably just left the stylist, and then she just leaves her hairstylist. She's like, just take this hat. Just go. Just go.
She's like, don't let anyone know that you came here.
Like, she's definitely got to be the most hated woman in Orange County, the hairstylist. Because, I mean...
There's not much I can just say about Gina and her hair.
There's...
It's just...
What is there to say?
It is what it is. And she put a hat over to cover it.
I mean, true.
I do think my biggest takeaway from this episode is Bronwyn. I think Bronwyn interacting with her son Jacob.
No,
and the
that
whole
was
scene
beautiful.
about, accepting that he is figuring himself out.
100%.
And in this case, he wanted to try out and see what drag was like for him.
Right.
So it was cool to see a mom be so open to a child exploring their sexuality, exploring their likes, exploring their dislikes,
Just to be so supportive in general of whatever he chooses to do and wants to do.
And we got to see him trying on some dresses and some heels, and she even brought in people to help him with his makeup and his stylist. And it was just really cool to see a parent on TV allow their child to figure out who they are. It's really cool.
However they want.
So I'm not the biggest Bronwyn fan,
right?
But you have to give credit where credit is due.
100%.
And I think having this on national TV is a game changer in the sense of showing that it is okay to let your children explore, find themselves, and really get to know them before they decide who they are as a person.
Even if that just helps one or two moms across, and that helps the children of these, that's worth it. Her storyline for that.
I mean, and even just sitting there, I'm like, oh, this I was fortunate my mom let me dress up in dresses and stuff like that.
Right.
But me and my boyfriend Joe were sitting there being like, oh my God, this is so nice to see on TV.
It's what you could hope for in life, if that's...
It makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Yes.
Inside, I have to say.
Especially in a season where Bronwyn's been dealing with a lot and she's admitted she's an alcoholic. I think that seeing a different side of her on this, because she's been really struggling all season, it was nice to see her with her family, with her son,
Yeah. It just
being a mom, just being a good mom. She's a good person, I feel like, at the end of the day. She's a really good person. She's just really struggling this season, and it's really hard.
Yeah. And then we go to Shannon, and I feel like we just have to touch on this because we live in Texas, and Sophie's going to Baylor.
As they would say, she's going to Baylor.
They put Shannon does her best Texas accent.
Well, Sophie walked in cowboy boots, and I will just say, we've lived in Texas forever. I don't think I've ever owned a pair of cowboy boots.
I don't own a pair of cowboy boots.
Well, I don't own now, but have you ever?
I did when I was a child. Okay. I used to love wearing basketball shorts, knee-high socks, and cowboy boots as my daily fashion.
That's the type of dress up your mom should have stopped you from. That's what your mom should have stopped you on.
You're probably not wrong.
Oh my
but you know what? I was click-clacking those boots right up into school.
Up and down.
I loved it. I mean, if I didn't have the boots on, I had some tap shoes. Did I ever take tap once? No.
You just like to slip and slide around the house.
I did. So you know what? It was great.
Do you?
But I realized I didn't like boots, I guess, because I never bought another pair of cowboy boots.
No, I mean, but I feel like some people that have maybe never been to Texas, they do get a mindset that we walk around in cowboy boots, and it's so ridiculous.
Not.
But they rocked up. She talks about it, and I think it's a really interesting moment that I didn't think we'd get, because we're getting kind of kids' confessionals again.
Oh, yeah.
Throwback to early season.
She had a confessional, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, Sophie had a confessional. And she makes a comment talking about John. Dirty John, as I like to call him. He gives me Dirty John vibes. Not that he's not hot and everything, but he gives me Dirty John vibes. Because Dirty John was...
Dirty John was hot.
He was super hot.
Yeah.
But she makes a weird comment. She says something along the lines of her mom is being... She's not being fulfilled emotionally and financially. So she needs to be fulfilled both. But she doesn't feel like she's being fulfilled in one of them.
And those are very accusatory words.
I
Because
think
you
that's
know
strange.
Shannon is very infatuated with this guy.
Yeah.
So for her daughter to be like, I don't know if she's getting everything from him is surprising.
Yeah.
And
because they seem like such a good couple, and Shannon finally seems happy.
Yeah.
We saw her in such a miserable place for years with David.
And right after that, she goes into talking about how Sophie is talking about how she's writing a book about her parents' divorce.
Right.
For OC, that's really all I have to say this week. We did do a lot of Salt Lake.
I feel like we didn't have time to fully dive in. Even though we did not like the episode Orange County, I feel like we don't have time to dive into it as much as we probably could.
Yeah. And next week, we will start, discussing more. Even Potomac. We didn't even get into Potomac this week.
Oh my god. And Potomac is so good right now. If you're still sleeping on Potomac, what's wrong with you? It's amazing.
Yeah, starting next week, we'll get more into Potomac.
For sure.
Just because it's actually my favorite
right
franchise. I mean, Salt Lake City.
Is it?
It is right now, yeah.
Oh, like on right now.
On right now, yeah, on right
Sorry,
now.
I was like, did you forget about New York? But
No,
Potomac is
no, on
like
right now.
by far the best on
Yeah.
right now.
So we'll give one hot take from Potomac just to round us out.
Okay. I mean, mine's not really like a hot take, but Wendy saying that she was named after a Wendy's was probably the most like humbled and relatable Wendy was, because she just talks about her. I don't know if you guys know she has 4 degrees. That's all she talks about 24/7. And
Yeah.
I feel like she thinks that Karen's trying to discredit it whenever she talks about it. No, everyone has respect for you and your 4 degrees, but it can't be your entire identity. And she's kind of she's come on the show and she's made it her entire identity. Like, there hasn't been an episode where she hasn't discussed it in depth.
Yeah.
But it was funny, and it was a nice moment.
It was funny.
Whenever she said that she was named after Wendy's, because that was the first job her dad became a manager when he moved to America from Nigeria.
It was an amazing story. It's just funny because she's like, and I'm named after Wendy's.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And mine, I know we were in Portugal. We're having a great first day of cast trip.
Right.
But I kind of want to take mine just one episode back.
Okay.
When Karen was doing the Wendy walk, like the creep walk.
Oh, when she like slithered in.
Yes. It was just making me laugh so hard, and I've laughed about it ever since. And I think they did show it in this episode.
Yeah, I think they flash back.
So I just have to say that that's my favorite Potomac moment
and that
at the
was
moment.
amazing.
And then so next week, like we mentioned, we'll do Salt Lake, we'll do Potomac, Orange County.
We need to touch on Southern Charm.
We'll touch on Southern Charm. Have
you watched Below Deck yet?
I haven't.
You need to watch Below Deck. I'm telling you, it is good.
Okay.
It is a chaotic start.
I will.
And we love chaos.
I just have been. There's so many shows right now, which is the best thing ever. It's the best problem to have.
And I'm shocked that like throughout quarantine coming, we're about to get into quarantine on all of these housewives.
Yeah.
It's fun that we have so many shows going right now, because I wasn't expecting it. I thought we were going to be in like a complete drought.
No.
So it is nice to have a lot of Bravo shows right now.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So
I am so excited.
I'm excited for our first podcast.
Well,
I do think Salt Lake City was the perfect one to come in on.
Salt Lake City was amazing.
And
I would rate it a 9.9 out of 10
Yes.
from your episode. Because perfection is not attainable, no matter what the Mormon church says.
Sorry, I had to take a sip.
I was like, man, did you die? Did you drown?
Cheers to our first podcast,
our
and
first
we will see you all
episode.
next week.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Oh my god, it's so fucking hot in here because Chase made me wear a goddamn sweater. Next week I'm dressing like I'm going to the beach.